Hello and welcome back to the Villa View as me and Dan are going to look at the current striking situation at Villa and who we feel is best to start up front and what will work more efficiently as we've scored so little goals for how much we've paid for the strikers. So welcome, Dan.
Hello, Matt.
So we're going to get straight into it and discuss our £12 million striker that we signed in the summer, that is Ross McCormack. What do you make of him so far? And to me, he's been played at a position so far, and that is the answer to his lack of goals.
I don't know whether I agree that he's being played out of position, because I actually think at the start of the season he was working well, playing off a striker. I mean, I think when you have him as a number 10, that's not too different to having him playing alongside someone, because he gets forward and he drops deep as well when he needs to. He was a player I was excited about signing after initial doubts, but it obviously hasn't worked so far for whatever reason. I mean, obviously we're going to discuss the reasons why it hasn't worked, but I think the main thing for me is that since he got an injury pretty early doors in the season, he hasn't really had a consistent run in the team. And I think he's the kind of player that will need 4 or 5 games in a row to get firing. And I think when he does get firing, he will score goals. I mean, we've spoke before about it. I don't think he can play on his own up front in the formation that we play. So that's a problem that needs solving, because when you've spent £12 million on a player, you need to get him in the team. If you've got McCormack playing the number 10, then I don't know whether Grealish gets in the team, which is an issue, because I think he should probably be in the team as well. But these are things that Bruce has got to work out, and I'm not convinced that Bruce at the moment has solved the striker problem that we've had this season.
Would you say that perhaps switching formation could do it and we go 4-4-2 with chucking Grealish on the wing and McCormack up top with Codger and Codger's back? Because McCormack's obviously got a good hold-up play, which is what Codger can thrive off and feed off. And if we've got a better midfield, then there'll be more service to be able to play a more 4-4-2 sort of traditional system. I'm
not sure we can play a 4-4-2 with the midfielders that we have. I mean, in some ways, the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-4-2, you think with McCormack dropping dead, there's not much difference in it. But really, a flat 4-4-2, I think we'd struggle. I mean, if you think we get overrun in midfield as it is, if we're playing a 4-4-2, I think that would happen far more frequently. I don't think Jedinak can play in a 4-4-2. I'm not sure Westwood can. I mean, maybe if Lansbury comes in, he's probably someone who can, but you'd imagine it would be Jedinak alongside him. I think there's the kind of things that weren't really taken into consideration in the summer, the system that we play, the personnel that we need. McCormack's obviously scored 20 goals a season in the Championship wherever he's been, but that's not happening at Villa, and that's a lot to do with the way we set up and the way that we've been playing, in my opinion.
Well, as well, if you speak to a lot of Fulham fans, they always say that the main pointer is the fact that he's always had a better second half of the season than he has the first half. So I think he needs game time, and if he can get some game time while Codger's away, then I think he'll be starting to score goals.
He's not getting the chances, but the problem is when he's in the team, he's more seen as one of the creative outlets, so he's not going to be knocking through balls to himself or making clever passes to himself. He needs the right kind of players around him, and I think that him and Codger in a 4-2-3-1 could work. That hasn't had a run together, those two. So I think when Codger's back, that's maybe something we should look at. But with Codger being gone, I don't see where McCormack fits in, because I'm not convinced he's got the strikers to link up with around him with Codger away.
Yeah, I think that's possibly the best way to look at him. But for me, we're going to look at Gabby Bongle next. But for me, he should be starting instead of him when it comes to leading the line at this moment in time.
I don't think we can. I don't think you can play Ross McCormack. If you're playing Ross McCormack as a lone striker, then you've got Grealish playing in the number 10, I would imagine, behind him. It's not going to work. It's too lightweight. At the moment, I think you're picking one of Grealish or McCormack. And to be fair, as much as I'm praising McCormack, I don't think you can take Grealish out. So it is a problem. It's a big problem for Bruce. And as I say, it's something that he hasn't managed to solve. And I'm not sure I've got the answer for it either.
Moving forward to the other player that we've just sort of touched on is Gabby Bongle. And personally, I think Bruce needs to give up with this renaissance that he's sort of tried to give him. I'm sorry, but he does. Because there's better players that are more deserving, perhaps, despite, you say, Gabby's experience or the fact that there's not many options we can play up top at the moment.
I can see where you're coming from. I definitely see where you're coming from. But the strikers that we have at the moment with Codger away, I don't think any of the others are capable of leading the line on their own. I mean, you can say that Gabby probably isn't capable either. But for me, I think Bruce is looking at in the past. He's led the line on his own in the past. He does look a lot leaner. I actually thought yesterday, despite I criticised the fact that he's playing playing within himself. He's playing in the shadows. He's making safe runs. When he's pressing and he's doing the defensive side of the game, he looks a lot more mobile than he did 2-3 weeks ago. So I'm impressed with that. If he gets a goal, Gabby, maybe you could see some form returning. But I see why people are against him, and I see why you don't think the Renaissance should continue. But I genuinely don't see what other option we've got at the moment as a lone forward, because I genuinely don't think McCormack works on his own.
Do you reckon that with Gabby that his days are numbered as that front man? Because to me they are, and perhaps his days are numbered altogether. But if Bruce is trying to utilise him, perhaps he can better utilise elsewhere, because at the moment, as that front man, we can see his stats. He's had 9 chances so far, and he's not scored a goal, and he's not done an assist. Fair enough, he's only started 2 of those games, but Ross McCormack's come off the bench a few times and influenced games. We haven't seen Gabby really influence much yet.
It's going to be tough for him. You'd say, looking at him last season, his days were numbered, and looking at when Di Matteo came in, his days were numbered. But Bruce likes him, and as long as Bruce likes him, there'll be a place in the squad for him. There'll definitely be a place in the 18 for him. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about Hepburn Murphy, but him not signing the contract, I think, has been the making of Gabby's chance, because I think Hepburn Murphy would be getting a go now had he signed the contract. But his days should be numbered, but they're not. So while he's here, we've got to support him and get behind him. But I do agree. I do think he's playing within himself, and he can do a lot more, and I think he'll know that. I
suppose we've just got to suck it up and accept that he's part of the plans and see what he can produce, because obviously when AU comes back and Codger comes back, the chances of Gabby getting a chance are pretty slim, I'd hope.
Codger's the main man.
Yeah,
the problem
100%.
is Codger's not here. So whilst Codger's not here, we've got a problem, because with Codger in the team, we're not particularly scoring a flurry of goals, are we? So with him not being there, the chances of us scoring goals are even less. We need to find a solution, but I don't think the solution is within the strikers that we have at the moment. I mean, I think Gusted would have even carried us over a bit better over the next month. But it's bizarre to me that we've sold him, because there was definitely a place for him in the side over the next month or so. And everyone knows I don't think he's the best striker in the world, but at least he's got a strength and he's useful, and he can play kind of on his own up front if he needs to.
We've touched on Codger. Now it's time to talk about him in general, because he is the star man, the big outlet. 9 goals so far for us this season in 19 games. Where does he come into your plans when it comes to when Bruce is trying to find a formula that gets us goals when he comes back? Do you play him as that front man? Because Bruce has shoved him out wide sometimes, where to me he looks quite ineffective.
I've got a hunch. I think Codger actually prefers playing wide. I mean, I've got nothing. I'm basing that on my own opinion, because he's never said that, and Bruce has maybe had a little rumblings about him playing wide. I actually think he prefers it out wide, and as Bruce says, he has actually scored a lot of his goals playing from that position. I think he's one of those that are usually not a fan of strikers playing wide, but he can play there because he's good with both feet. He's a very technical player. He can carry the ball, and he works hard even when he's on the wing. A lot of strikers, they're shoved on the wing and they sulk, but Codger doesn't do that. He's our main man, as we've alluded to already in this video. But none of these strikers, with the exception of probably Gabby, are Bruce players, really, because Bruce is the one who's chose to put Gabby back in the fray. These players are not ones that Bruce has chose to work with. So I'd be thinking about it. I'd be shocked in January if Bruce didn't get his own striker in. And obviously we're going to talk about it on Wednesday, but I can really see the merits in getting Jordan Rhodes in now the more I think about it.
One of the things that I suppose that's good if Codger's on the wing is the fact that he's going to be less chance of being offside, which is one of the big weaknesses. I know Bristol City fans did talk about the amount of time he spends offside, but it is getting silly sometimes the amount of times he's offside.
After the Leeds game in particular, he was offside virtually the whole game. I don't know the stats. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but he must have been offside 6 or 7 times.
Oh, easily, yeah, totally.
And it is frustrating, because he doesn't need to be offside. He's got pace. He can get in behind most defenders. It's just the timing of the run seems to be off. Maybe because the midfield's not right. Maybe the timing of the pass is off. So maybe we're being a bit hard on Codger, but we just need to get him back. He makes a hell of a difference, and we're not the same side without him. It's like when Benteke used to be out. He's our talisman, and we're not the same side without him in the team.
I know there's a lot of talk about that chance that he had against Leeds where he could have laid it off to McCormack. But for me, as a striker's instinct, in that position you shoot. And to me at the game, he should have passed. In that blink instance when I watched it at the game, I thought he should have passed. But looking back at it, I can see why he didn't. And the idea of him being greedy, I sort of accept. But in the end of the day, I think you have to be a striker.
The thing is, this is where the difference comes in. If Gabby had been one-on-one, he probably would have passed. I mean, the pass might not have made it there, but he probably would have passed. Because he doesn't want to risk missing a chance. Codger's a goal scorer. He will take that chance that he won't score. And I think it's a bit harsh to say he should have passed, because I can't say I noticed during the game.
Yeah,
speed, these things happen. You haven't got time to think about the pass. At least one thing I'd say is at least he's decisive. He knows what he wants to do. Gabby, again, if he's one-on-one with the keeper, does he even know in his own head what he's going to do? I think at least Codger, he knows what he's going to do. He's ruthless.
Next player, to me, is the main one that I feel should be doing 10 times better than he is right now, and that's Jordan Ayew. Obviously, away at the African Cup of Nations right now, but for me, he's been below par this season. 2 goals, 4 assists. 4 assists isn't bad. It's the second most, but he should be scoring a lot more and providing a lot more for me.
Ayew's a frustrating one because last season he was head and shoulders above anyone else. He had a terrific work rate. He had end product to an extent, and obviously he was our top scorer. And he was, anytime we had a half decent game, which wasn't very often, it was because of him. I really expected more from him in the Championship, though. So I see what you're saying. He has been very disappointing. I mean, 2 goals, and we're now in January. He's not a good return for someone of his ability, and he is talented. I don't care what people say. I mean, people say he's lazy, which I don't see at all. He works harder than most every week still, even now in the Championship. And he must be frustrated playing in the Championship after the effort he put in last season. But he's got the ability to do more, and it's not happening for whatever reason at the moment. I mean, under Bruce, he's been very in and out. But he couldn't play up front on his own. I don't think it would work. So he's I see him as more of a wide player, although we've included him in this video. I see him as a wide player, but he should definitely be having more than 2 goals so far this season. He's had games where he was good. Forest at home is one that stood out, where he got 2 assists. He played very, very well. Newcastle, he brought us back into the game at Villa Park as well. I mean, I think he's probably hit the woodwork quite a lot this season. He's been very unlucky, but 2 goals isn't a good return, whichever way you try and dress it up.
For me, though, I've got the alternative view. I think he's very good on the left, don't get me wrong, but I think he could be better utilised up top with Codger perhaps out wide. I think that could actually work, despite what I said about Codger. I think he can play that lone striker role because he's got the build for it, and obviously his discipline's an issue, as we've seen in the stats.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that he's got the tenacity to be able to play that role, especially with his work rate as well.
I don't know, it's a funny one. I mean, you'd have to see it, wouldn't you? We've not really ever seen him play up top on his own. The only game I can recall off the top of my head was when Remy Gard's first game he played as a lone striker. You're saying he's got the build? His hold-up play is relatively good, but I don't see... Again, if he's going to play centrally, I see him as a number 10, and I think that's probably the problem with a lot of our players. Main striker on their own isn't their best position. I
think that in total, though, we can assume that he's been below par so far, but I think if we can better utilise him in a system as general, I think he could come to fruition, especially if as you say, the need for a striker, an actual out-and-out striker, like Jordan Rhodes, for example, that could lead the line and have Codger and Ayew the side. I don't think there'd be more deadly pairing, and goals should come from that. One man that could have made the difference, but surely won't be now, is Russian Hepburn Murphy. He scored a lot of goals in the Under-23s League, in the Premier League 2. He's done everything right at youth level, but now he's blew it all out the water, and I don't know what's next for him.
Hepburn Murphy isn't going to get game time in the first team until he signs a contract. I mean, I think it'll be interesting tonight with the Under-23s. I mean, if he's been ditched from that as well, I think we can probably assume that his days are numbered and he's not going to sign a contract. I mean, whilst he's still here, obviously there is a hope that he will, but you'd think if he was going to sign it, he would have signed it a month ago, knowing that the African Nations was coming up and knowing that he might get a run in the team and that would be his best chance of a run in the team. I mean, it's just silly. He's not started a first team game at men's level for anyone yet. He seems to be asking for the world in his contract, wants certain assurances. You can't do that because there's only ever going to be one winner. I don't think the player power in general works very well in football, but in this instance, I don't see how it can because he hasn't played first team football. So how can we know what he's going to do at this level? I mean, I think he will be very good, but unfortunately, I think he's going to end up being very good somewhere else, which will be a real kick in the teeth for the academy coaches that have brought him through and the work they've put in and the work the club's put in. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it is a big shame, but there's nothing that can be done now. It's in the hands of him. Unfortunately, it's nothing Bruce can do anymore. The club have done enough as they could do. And it's just a case of player power and thinking he can do a lot more than he wants to. So the overall, though, we can decide from this video is that we do need another striker. And it's something that we'll probably be touching on in the Transfer Hassle video in a few days' time, where we look at potentially some new signings, especially strikers, because at the moment we've got too many number 10s and not enough strikers.
We haven't got the blend right with the players that we have. I mean, I think they've all got really, really good attributes that could be very useful for the club. But it's almost as if we need to amalgamate all those players that we've got into one player to make the striker that we need. And it's a bit frustrating because Ayew and McCormack are very, very good footballers and we should be making better use of them than we are, but we have not got the mix right and we've not got the blend right so far this season under either Di Matteo or Bruce. Although we've improved under Bruce, goal scoring is not particularly improved. The defence has improved tenfold, but the goal scoring, it's not got much better, in fairness. So we're sitting here talking about, obviously, all the forward players and Bruce hasn't got it right. But what would you actually do?
Well, I'd be tempted to try the 4-4-2 because we've got the talent up front. So why not utilise it? We've got hard-working players like McCormack and Ayew. So why not try and utilise that? I'd have Ayew on the wing because to me he's a bit more of a winger, perhaps. Or then I'd try him up front. So I'm unsure how it would work, but I'd look at playing Codger up top, obviously, alongside somebody like McCormack who can feed off, because we haven't tried that yet, as we touched on in the video. We need to try that to see if that can work, because they're both really good players that can feed off each other quite well with their attributes. How about yourself?
There's obviously always going to be an element of rotation in the squad. I mean, I think Adoma picks himself. I think probably at the moment, Ayew on the left and Codger up front, and then I know I've been talking about McCormack needs games, but for me, Grealish is probably the better option at the moment, although sometimes Grealish can be useful off the bench. So I'd probably say Ayew left, Adoma right, Codger up front, and then an element of rotation between Grealish and McCormack.
I fully believe it'll click eventually anyway. But thank you, Dan, for joining me to look over the current striking situation at Villa.
No worries, enjoyed it.
So if you did enjoy this video, as Dan said, he did enjoy it. So if you enjoyed it, drop us a like below. Let's try and hit 150 likes in this video. That would be great if you could do that. And also comment in what you think about the current striker situation at Aston Villa. And subscribe with the post notifications on to the Villa View. That helps us a lot. It sends notifications to your phone so you see the video before anyone else. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another one? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. And don't forget to subscribe. Click on our logo there on the left and press subscribe. Easy.